Mayor Giuliani, you say that you were a big tax cutter in New York, but you did raise fees and fines, and in fact you even went to court to fight elimination of the commuter tax. Why, and you're the other person in addition to John McCain, why not take the Americans for Tax Reform pledge not to increase marginal rates, sir?
It's a matter of principle. I think if you're President of the United States, you take one pledge to uphold the Constitution of the United States. There would be literally thousands of issues on which you would take a pledge if you let groups do that to you. So I've always taken the view that you take one pledge. It's to uphold the Constitution of the United States. It is my intention to lower taxes. I have, without any doubt, of all the people running for president, the strongest record of lowering taxes. I did it 23 times in a city that had never lowered a tax before, well over $9 billion. I lowered the personal income tax 25%, and I was collecting 40% more in revenues from the lower tax than the higher tax. I made supply-side economics work in a city that didn't understand it, and I ended up having a very positive impact on the economy of the city as a result of that. I lowered 23 different taxes in a city that had a city council with 45 Democrats and 6 Republicans. So my record is very, very strong as a tax cutter, but I only think a man running or a woman running for president should take one pledge, and that is to uphold the Constitution of the United States.
Governor Romney, you have taken the pledge. You like to say that you don't just talk about budgets, that in fact you actually had to operate one as governor of Massachusetts. But according to the National Conference of State Legislatures, in your first year as governor, you raised fees and fines by $500 million, including fees paid by the blind, by gun owners, by those seeking training against domestic violence, and even by used car shoppers. In fact, the Associated Press says you earned a nickname back then in Massachusetts. It was Fifi. How do you respond, sir?
Well, that's the first time I've heard that, Chris, but it's pretty good. As a matter of fact, a little exaggeration, the total fees raised were $260 million, and that's a big number. We had a $3 billion budget gap. The Democrats, you probably know that Massachusetts is a bit of a Democratic state. The Democrats wanted to raise taxes. I said, no way. And in fact, we did not raise taxes on our citizens, and we lowered them across the state time and again. We put an investment tax credit permanently in place. We provided help to senior citizens on real estate taxes. We changed a capital gains tax increase to a capital gains tax refund. So I'm proud of what we were able to do to lower taxes. I'm also going to lower taxes for the American people, and that's the key thing. Right now, you can listen to the Democrats. Their pledge is clear. They're going to raise taxes. I want to lower them. Make the Bush tax cuts permanent. Kill the death tax once and for all. And a savings plan for middle-income Americans. If you earn less than $200,000 a year, the new tax rate on interest, dividends, and capital gains ought to be absolutely zero. And by the way, John Edwards has his own savings plan for the middle class. He says you can save $250 a year tax-free. Whoop-de-doo. That's not going to buy you retirement. It's not going to buy you a house. And someone yelled out it's not going to buy him a haircut either.
Governor Huckabee, you may be the biggest supporter of the fair tax on this stage. You say replace the income tax with a 23% national sales tax. Now, back in 2005, President Bush's Tax Reform Commission did a study about the fair tax. They said the sales tax rate would have to be 34%, not 23%, and that no state, no country has ever put in a 34% sales tax. How do you respond to that? And also the fact that President Bush's Tax Commission says that with a fair tax that high, there are only 2 income groups that would benefit: those making less than $30,000 a year and those making more than $200,000.
Well, Chris, the first problem is that the Bush tax panel did not look at the fair tax proposal. They looked at something that called itself that, but it was not. The true fair tax proposal is a 23%. And what it does do is empower everyone in the economy, not just the people at the bottom and the very top, but all of the middle class, which is a desperate need. It's pretty sad right now that the average American is more afraid of an IRS audit than getting mugged. But that's the truth. And the reason is because the IRS has the power not just to come after us for a few seconds, but to keep coming after us. What we would do with the fair tax is to eliminate all the taxes on productivity, which means you could earn anything you want. You wouldn't be penalized for saving, earning, for having a capital gain, making an investment. What you would do is you'd pay a tax when you consume something, and it ends the underground economy of illegals, prostitutes, drug dealers. Everybody has to pay. And if people would look at this objectively, they'd find that it's the best way to get rid of the corruption in government, because it eliminates those 35,000 lobbyists out there trying to make winners and losers, and most of us end up being losers in the process.
Congressman Paul, your answer is to cut both taxes and spending. You say that you would eliminate the IRS, the CIA, the Federal Reserve, the Department of Homeland Security, Medicare. I know that you used to want to end the FBI. I'm not sure whether you still support that idea, sir. Perhaps you can tell us. But if you get rid of the CIA, let alone the FBI, how would President Paul have any idea, any intelligence of what our enemies, foreign and domestic, are up to?
Well, you might ask a better question. Before 9/11, we were spending $40 billion a year, and the FBI was producing numerous information about people being trained on airplanes to fly them but not land them, and they totally ignored them. So it's the inefficiency of the bureaucracy